Well, as we all know, this hasn't been the best moment for the power sector in Mexico, and we all know it. No, we all suffering a little bit of this. Uh, well, these difficult times are also times for new opportunities, and this is how we are seeing things. And this is what it's really happening for the power generation companies, which approach is a little bit different than the usual, what it used to be, and we are focusing on on-site generation with small or medium-sized projects, right? The scale is a little bit different, but it's actually pretty interesting for the country. In the past, we used to develop this kind of projects, and most private plants were self-supply generation, right? This was the best, or the scheme that was most usually used for different producers. Well, with different rules and that we have today, and usually they were bigger projects, right? Even in the design, we tried to design them as big as possible. That was a different approach totally. At this point, this is something. What is happening right now is very different. Now, I think that the scenario is a little bit more complicated, and we are for those big projects that need access to the grid, and they are having a little bit of non-feasible conditions for using the grid. Could be economical or technical or whatever, right? This is a reality. This is what is happening, and this is why one of the reasons why on-site generation has become more and more a need for the power industry, for the industrials in Mexico. This is not the only reason, right? So there's plenty of them. We have areas in Mexico that they do not have available capacity, like in the past conference they were mentioning about Baja Sur, especially. That's the most critical area, but there's others which doesn't have any available capacity, and they need it. So they need it because they need to grow economically. They have other issues like lack of transmission lines, lack of fuels, which limits actually the technology that you can use, to provide the service. So this is getting a little bit more difficult in some areas in the country. So for us, we're a Portuguese company, and when we analyzed the options for new geographies, we saw Mexico as a great target. It was really interesting between others, but I think that this was the best choice for us to make at that time. Portugal had their eyes on Mexico for a long time, and they have no regrets with the decision that we took. We're successfully signing projects, even with whatever it's happening right now with the COVID crisis situation, which is actually, it is a major issue for everyone. In Portugal and Spain, we are still operating every plant that we have. We have 48 projects running, and Mexico is considered as a strategical, to increase substantially the asset portfolio that we have. So on-site generation has plenty of ways to see it, but the main characteristic for us, or the thing that we consider most important, is that they are tailor-made projects. We design them as tailor-made projects, and that gives a lot of positive things to the final consumer. Certainty, for example, under energy costs, reliability, quality, and of course, a more greener and more efficient, way to generate power. High efficient plants and well-designed plants are now, I think, the answer for most of the power consumers in Mexico. This is the reality. For some clients, might be cogeneration as a technology. For others, photovoltaic or storage or hybrid project, as they were mentioning on the past intervention. We're even developing bioenergy projects, which were actually not feasible sometimes in the past, and now they're becoming every time they're becoming more and more feasible. And it's not just the economics, it's also the greener part. This is something that is working in the country. This is something that I think we are going to really explode. Since this happened, or since we saw this market also as an interesting area, we just recently acquired a company, a bioenergy company, and now it is the arm for bioenergies in Capua. So we have presence in Portugal, Spain, and Mexico. We already, the company that we acquired had already some assets. So this is quite important. So the question of most of the clients or most of the consumers are like, do we have any complications developing these projects? And yeah, of course we have. We all know, and it is part of the actual situation that as power producers we're facing right now, a lack of permits, and this is becoming like a big issue, right? Like every day, more and more companies are waiting for permits to be granted, and sadly, this is becoming quite normal for us. This is what we're living, and clients sometimes they even think that this won't work, right? Because they think that they might need to wait years to think for things to happen, and this is not the message that we want them to have, right? Like of course, this is what they see, and this is what makes a little bit more difficult to sign PPAs or long-term PPAs that to give that step and try to not depend on the usual supplier, right? So this is part of what things are changing in the market and what Mexico is changing. I don't know if you saw that recently CREG granted a generation permit for an on-site plant, and we were a lot of companies waiting for this permits, and when we saw one of this, I think that it was a clear message, right? And this is a positive thing. I think that they wanted to give us a message, everyone, right, to see that projects will run. This kind of projects have a future. I think that things are going to happen, and things are going to flow, hopefully, and we will see more power plants being built in Mexico. It is hard sometimes to believe, or at least for me, that how much potential we have in Mexico to generate cleaner and energy and way more efficient than what we as a country are generating right now. So we have all the conditions, like good off-takers. We have a huge industry, cheap gas, solar radiation, wind, everything. And sometimes it is not understandable that why don't we have tons of cogens running right now in the country, right? Like this is something kind of weird because of all this that we have that I just mentioned, and since I have said this before in actually in other forums, that I think that one of the main reasons why small and medium-sized projects haven't been successful or haven't been as successful as we thought they could be, it is because of the lack of or the difficulties for getting good financing, or even not even good, like just financing, right? Like this is something that is difficult because development and commercial banks at some point in the past, they were just focused on big scales, and they were just looking for projects for, I don't know, 50 million projects or $100 million projects, and that was pretty hard for projects that were for 5 megawatt, 10 megawatt project. Like those were actually considered as non-interesting. And things are changing also, right? Things are evolving. Banks are evolving. They're becoming more sophisticated. So banks, since banks are more sophisticated, they're really understanding what is happening into the power sector, and they are really understanding the risk of having this kind of projects. So this is being helpful. I think that now we don't see that often, or we might not see that often a combined cycle of $500 million, but we're going to see tons, or I hope that really, or 30 at least cogeneration plants of $15 million. So the market will still be interesting for the financing matters. So I think that this is one of the things that has to change, and that is changing right now. For us, since we opened the office in Mexico, we saw that this was one of the major issues, and we decided to go full equity on our first projects. And this is becoming like the strategy for us. I think that clients are really understanding why are we doing this, and this is making things happen, and making things easier and faster. So this is quite interesting. So At some point, we might, go for financing, but at this time, I think that our strategy is the correct way to go. Other reasons why other small and medium-sized projects hasn't been as successful as we thought they were. It's because consumers did not want it, or were used to sign PPAs, long-term PPAs, and this was because risks, right? And when you talk to a client, usually they say like, what if I pay more with you that what I have been paying with the actual supplier, and usually they make this kind of comments like, what if rates dramatically change and they go down? And it's like, well, we haven't seen that happening. So the history it's quite quite simple to read, and every time that they see that they take 10 or 5 years to make the decision to go on their own, I think that they are seeing how much money they are losing because of because they're not they don't have the savings that they could have with this kind of project. So this is something that it's making them take decisions, and this is something that we know that it will work. It will be, it would be important. Now, I think that on-site generation, it's, the key puzzle, the key piece for this puzzle. And it is not just in Mexico, it is worldwide, like this is a tendency, and it has its challenges, and it depends a lot on the existing infrastructure but at the same time, it's a solution that also helps to improve the conditions of the actual system. Intermittent generation, in the case of photovoltaic, for example, can be complemented with storage or other technologies, and having this hybrid projects could help the system management. So this is something that will happen, and I think that every time we're going to see more and more of these projects. Companies are evolving, and every time they're looking for accomplishing their new environmental policies by looking for increasing their efficiency and generating through renewables. The world has objectives for sustainability, like the ones mentioned by the United Nations, and Sustainable Development Goals. And well, we all can do something about it, like to accomplish them. And we as a company even signed for the Paris Pledge to Action, which is not only renews our commitment with sustainability, it also challenges us to be more ambitious in our goals, right? So this is something that is happening to most of the companies in the world, I think. The message is quite simple. It is a small intervention, but the message is I really want to send the message to industrials and other consumers that cannot keep on waiting on things to happen, and others will not do things, or I don't. We shouldn't trust others, to do other things for offering us cheaper or cleaner energy. Like we should take things in our own hands, and I think that they don't. Sometimes the big problem is like we don't know how to do it, right? So there's companies like us and others that we know how to do it, and we want to do it. It's not just knowing it. We want to do it like this. We want to invest in it. You don't even have to invest in it. So this is part of the main message, and actually I think that the only thing that as an off-taker you will have to do is to commit on a long-lasting business relation, and well, both parts, every part is seeking for a win-win situation. So I think that this could be accomplished easily.